Welcome to today's episode of How To with Paul. Today we're going to be adjusting the headlights on a Mercedes E300. This is a 2017. Our headlights are way too low right now. When we drive at night, it's very hard to see anything off in the distance. So we're going to show you how to make that adjustment. So after you pop the hood inside the car, you're going to go ahead. So I'm going to show you where to locate the hood pop. So you're going to go into the driver's side, go down underneath, and underneath there, near to the left of the brake pedal, way up here, you will see this red lever. That's how you open your hood. Go ahead and pull that down, and that opens the hood up. Then after you've done that, you come around the front of the car, and inside you lift up the hood, and there is a latch right here. Kind of hard to do one-handed, but you'll see you pull this up, and that opens the hood. So you just reach in there to the left of the emblem, reach that up, and you can open that. And that's how you open the hood. And I want to show you where the adjusters are, okay, and what we're going to be working with and what tools will be needed, okay? This will be the up and down adjustment for the headlight. This is the passenger side adjustment. You'll see that inside of the hole, there is a Phillips head screw. That screw, you could use a screwdriver, but you really shouldn't because you can damage the bolt inside there. It's actually meant to use a 6mm Allen key, which is what I have here. This is a 6mm. You can buy an Allen key. You can make a T-wrench. They sell several different tools, but basically the 6mm Allen will fit tightly in here and not allow this to get damaged. Okay, so it's best to use this. So that's the adjustment on the passenger side of the car. I also want to show you where the adjuster is on the driver's side of the car. Okay, this is the adjuster on the driver's side of the car. And this is to just do up and down adjustment, not left and right. There's a separate place to do left and right. We don't need to adjust that on this car, so we won't be worrying about that. We'll go ahead and do an adjustment. I'll show you how to take care of that. Okay, so today we're going to go ahead and start making the adjustments on our Mercedes headlights. What I want you to do is I want you to find yourself a wall that has a fairly flat ground that you can back up about 25 feet. So you need to be able to back the car up 25 feet away from the wall, being fairly flat. What you're going to want to do is you're going to pull your car up close to the wall as possible, and you want to mark the headlight. Okay, you're going to mark the headlight on the wall. And what you're trying to do is you take the center of the headlight, in the same height, you try to make a mark on the wall in the same place. So it's going to be right about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of tape here, and I'm just going to mark it. I'm going to put a stripe across the top. Okay, again, center of the headlight. This is where it is on the wall. So I'm just going to make a mark here. Okay. And then I'm going to make it like a T mark so that I can see where it is. Checking the mark, but this is where the center of the headlight is. Okay, so basically the center of the headlight wants to be where you're marking the wall. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we're going to mark the passenger side headlight the same way. You're going to center the headlight, go straight in front of it. You're going to mark it on the wall. Straight from the center of the headlight, you want to mark the center. So this is where it is. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to back the car up 25 feet. I already marked it on the ground, but just in case you do need to know how to, take your measuring tape, measure from the edge of the wall, and just go back 25 feet. Okay? So this line here is my 25-foot mark. So I'm just going to back the car straight up onto that line. going to go ahead and pop the hood while we're here. And we'll come from over here. I'm going to go ahead and open the hood. You look at the marks on the wall, you can see where they're at. And we're actually not too bad. They're actually fairly close. So what we're going to do is we want to go ahead and you can see the right side, the passenger side of the vehicle is a little bit on the higher side, which is probably, it's okay. We are a little bit high on the left side right now, but we're going to take both sides down a little bit. So we're going to take our 6mm Allen key. Of course, I can't see it. And we're going to start to make the adjustment. Okay, so I'm turning it counterclockwise right now, which is actually raising it higher. You can see that it's raising that light higher. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing that so you can see what it's doing. It's raising that whole light. We actually want to lower it back down to the center of that tape mark. So now I'm going to turn it clockwise so that it starts going back down. We're just going to keep turning it down. I want it to be at the bottom of that tape. So right about there. See how it's right at the bottom of the tape line? That's where we want it. Okay, we're going to move over to our passenger side. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and lower that down. And just a little bit more. You can see it's coming down, coming down, coming down. And that's a little too low. I want it right about here. There you go. That's how your lights should be adjusted. Now, what you want to do after you close your hood, you always want to go drive the car around and see where it's flashing, where it's looking at, because sometimes you can go a little bit higher. This is kind of a baseline to give you just an idea of where you want your lights to be. This gets you in the ballpark. But when you're actually out driving around, obviously if people are flashing their high beams at you, they're turned up too high. Okay, so you want to bring them down. I always suggest that you take the car out for a drive, you come back to the same spot. If you need to make an adjustment, if they were too high, you can look at the wall here and you just lower it down even lower. This is going to be adjusted well. We'll double check the drive. We'll take a little drive in the car. We'll do another video showing you the lights, how much better they are now. And then if we have to make any adjustments, we'll come back and do it. Stay tuned. Okay, we're taking our car out for a little drive here. We're taking the Mercedes. We just want to take a look and see what we're seeing ahead of us. You can see the street is nicely illuminated, and you catch an occasional little bit on some of the reflectors there. You can see that the lights are kind of bouncing off of it, which is good. You want to be below them, especially when you see cars and you're looking at cars. If you can see in their windshields, especially on the driver's side of the car, if you can see, you know, the passenger, the seat of the car or the actual inside of the car, then your lights are way too high. Like when you have your high beams on, you see how you can see right inside those cars. You see right inside the headlights. You don't want that. So your regular lights should stay below the headlights of the other cars. So when they're reflected in the headlights of their cars, that's okay. You just don't want to be above that. You don't want to be reflecting into the inside of the cars. So we're going to turn here. You can see the cut on the walls there. You can see where it's adjusted. We're just going to drive through a couple streets here and just kind of see how it feels and see that it looks right. Now, I want to show you something here. You can see right there, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's right on the very, very bumper of that car. It's just below the bumper of that car. I'll let this car go by. Okay, you see this truck right here. You can see that the lights are just across the bottom of the headlights there, which is what you want. It's not up in the windshield. It's not blinding anybody. Another good thing you could do as a tip, you can walk out in front of the car about 50 yards, squat down to about head height inside the car and look at the vehicle at you, which I'll go ahead and do just to give you an example. So I'm going to park the car. My camera person's going to stand here and watch me walk out there. Okay, so I've walked out there. I've taken a look. The lights were not blinding me in the eyes. That's what you're looking for, to see that if it would be blinding you if you were a car coming up. I could see the road very nicely. I'm happy with the way that these are adjusted. Okay, so we took the car out for a little drive. I stepped out in front of it. I stepped away from it about 50 yards or so, squatted down to about 3 foot or so to make sure that I wasn't being blinded by the lights. I wasn't, although I feel like we can adjust them just a little bit higher. If you look at the wall here, you'll see that the driver's side could probably come up just a little bit more and be perfectly fine without blinding anybody. So I'm going to make a slight adjustment, very minor. And I'm just going to take that side up just a little bit more. As you see, I'm raising it just to the top of that tape mark. That's all I do. I just want to raise it to the top. Very little bit. Same thing on the passenger side. I'm just going to even that out just a little bit. Just to a little bit of top. So really, I just took them up just a little bit higher than they were. And we're going to go out and we're going to test drive it again and make sure we're happy, but I'm confident that that's going to be perfectly good. Originally, they were way lower. I had already turned them up before we even showed you on the wall, but if I was to look at it, they were below the very, very bottom of the tape mark. So originally, this line here, the headlights were way down here. So I moved it up that far before we even made the marks and started making the adjustments, because I knew that they needed to be adjusted. So make sure you like and subscribe. Stay tuned for other videos of How To with Paul.